I wanted to request these two great sons of Kenyan leaders that they have seen through this contest how Kenyans believe we can be a divided people. Honorable Speaker, we always have athletics. And I can tell you, even in the midst of the post-election violence in 2008, when Pamela Jelimo was winning, although we were in different seats as Kenyans due to the times and the temptations we were going through at the time, we stood up and embraced. I wanted to request these two great leaders that the enterprise to unite the country, the need to create the Kenyan nation which has eluded us for far too long, is before them to achieve for Kenya. I would be happy, Honorable Speaker, for that day when whichever Kenya it is, as we have been doing with sports, contesting for anything outside of our border, we forget about where we come from, the communities we come from, and we all rally behind them. And so I'm requesting the Right Honorable Raila Odinga and President William Ruto that this AUC contest is something we need to build on and to unite this country and create one prosperous, equitable, fair country in which all of us are proud to be Kenyan. Honorable Speaker, when I returned, I was met by some media people who were asking, now, are you going to stop supporting the administration? It is the patriotic duty of all Kenyans to support the government in place. And I wanted to tell those people that I happen to be from the community of Right Honorable Raila Odinga. I can tell you, in the enterprise of building one Kenya, count on Raila to join hands and to continue to the end with President William Ruto. For those who think that there would be any squabbles between us out of this contest, I've seen naysayers thinking so. Honorable Speaker, let me tell you, we are going to hold the hands of President William Ruto more firmer to build one united country where all of us.
This is not going to be the last time a Kenyan is going to contest for an international job. And I want to encourage the government of the Republic of Kenya to propose and support Kenyans who are qualified to go for international positions, Mr. Speaker. The UN Secretary General job is coming up in the next year, Mr. Speaker. If there's a Kenyan who feels he's qualified to become the Secretary General of the UN, he should go for it. And Kenyans will support. It doesn't matter whether you win or lose. It doesn't matter. Go for it. So, Mr. Speaker, many countries in this region have done very well, much better than our country, in terms of positioning their people in this multilateral organization, Mr. Speaker. We have not done very well as a country in that sphere, Mr. Speaker. We have to improve our socks and make sure that a lot of Kenyans, even the ones who are celebrating, instead of holding people in villages, in somewhere there in Nyeri, release them, let them go for these international positions if they are qualified. Don't hold people there buying them uji every day, and they are qualified, they have papers, they have masters, they have degrees, everything. Take them out, Mr. Speaker. Wamunyoro is not a church. Unless it's another Shakahola place, where people now go there and they want to die there inside there. Mr. Speaker, with those few remarks, I wish to second and warn the naysayers that you should avoid that kind of thing going forward in future. Mr. Speaker, because if you are going to oppose a Kenyan because of his political affiliation, because of domestic issues, it's a very primitive way of looking at things. And I know some of the people, why we impeach them also, it was not in the impeachment paper, but it's primitivity. Some of them are very primitive people. Village mentality. You know, people want to go to international organizations. Instead of supporting them, you are judging them on the basis of what happens in a village, Mr. Speaker. I'm very sad about that. I do not expect people to celebrate the loss of a Kenyan in an international contest. It's a shame. Whichever you are, you cannot celebrate the loss of a Kenyan in an international contest. I repeat again. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. Now, if our athlete loses in a contest now, in the New York Marathon or in the London Marathon. You expect me to celebrate? No. Because it's not from my community? It's not from my region? It's not from my religion? It's not from my village? It's not from my what? Shame on you. Shame. And those people who did that must desist and never to repeat that. I must say that on the floor of this House, Mr. Speaker, because this is where we address issues of concern to the people. And that is an issue of high concern to the people, Mr. Speaker. When we are telling Kenyans that you cannot run in any contest outside Kenya. In the first place, even if we run here in Kenya, they will not vote for us, I know. We have taken very serious that matter, and we don't want it to happen in our country again. We want to support our people. We want to support our Kenyans, wherever they are. That is why we impeach certain people, because they were telling us we are not shareholders of this country. That's what they told us. We have not forgotten. They told us that you are not shareholders in this country. I don't know when the shareholding certificate was issued in this country. At independence, everyone was there. You should call for annual general meeting so that we know which shares we have. So you get impeached on that kind of nonsense, and you continue celebrating again the loss of a Kenyan in an international contest.
It doesn't matter how much people want to pour in dirt on him. Younger generations who do not know what he has done over the years, you can never take away his ikigai. And I would want to encourage those who are busy talking a lot of nonsense around him, find your own purpose in life and live it fully and never retire. Because when you find your purpose in life, Mr. Speaker, you are always happy regardless of circumstances. So that's why even whether he wins or loses, it doesn't matter. Mr. Speaker, there are many of us at 20 years or 30 or 40, 50 who will not be brave enough to go for such a position. Can you imagine a person who at 80 years is willing to dare out and go for such a position? Whether he wins or not does not matter. It is inspirational enough that at that age he's gone out there. But I want to also congratulate and thank His Excellency President William Ruto for the work that he has done for Honorable Raila Odinga in this regard, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when we went there, I went very cautiously optimistic. Not because I had less faith in the capabilities of Honorable Raila Odinga, but as a person who has worked in the Pan-African region with the Pan-African Parliament and other fora, Mr. Speaker, I understand the geopolitics very well, the issues of regional blocks, language blocks, amongst other issues, Mr. Speaker. And sometimes they come into play, including prevailing circumstances in the region. They sometimes come into play. Mr. Speaker, the other issues, including the fact that Honorable Raila Odinga was a towering figure that some people may have found a bit intimidating. His strength, as I've seen one writer say, may have been his weakness because some people can't deal with strong characters. Mr. Speaker, it is also an opportunity for the AU to introspect. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, sorry, I see you have changed. Madam Speaker, it's an opportunity for the AU to introspect because the issues of equity keep coming up and barriers based on language, religion, or other factors always keep coming up. The way they've tried to solve it in Pan-African Parliament is the way they need to solve it also at that level. Madam Speaker, I would also want to say that I've seen a narrative that people are trying to sell, that Raila always loses. Honorable Raila was a member of Langata for many years. Yes. Madam Speaker, he even resigned his position and went for by-election and won. And he has served as Prime Minister. And the one who is saying Raila would never will never win anything, has never even won a village elder position, and will never win a village elder position. So really, be factual and wish your fellow Kenyan well is when God will bless you. Madam Speaker, there are many Sanballats and Tobiases in this country. They are very noisy, and even noisier than the people who have goodwill for this country. But I want to say that I was impressed by the equally high number of Kenyans who came to Ethiopia using their own resources. People came in buses, in bicycles, by air, and by all means, and they were all tribes, Madam Speaker. My time is up. I want to also thank them and say God works in mysterious ways. What you thought was going to work for ill has actually worked for good. We were fighting last week. We are now sitting calmly as a minority, Madam Speaker.